Welcome back to the Sentinel Report. Thanks for staying with us, folks. We have some very special guests joining us today. One of our counties here in Florida has really gone beyond a lot of the rest of them when it comes to trying to protect individual rights down to the county level. I mean, of course, we know our founding fathers said the purpose of government was to protect rights. So you wouldn't think this would be controversial. That's exactly what they said in the Declaration of Independence. But in this day and age, sometimes it can be a little controversial. But the good folks down in Collier County, this was back in 2023. A lot of infringements on individual rights. The federal government was demanding all kinds of things, vaccine mandates, shutdown. You can't go to church. You can't do this, that, and the other. People just started saying that was enough. And under tremendous public pressure, the county commission down in Collier County did something extraordinary. Beyond what some of the other counties were doing with passing resolutions, they actually passed an ordinance. It was the Collier County Bill of Rights Sanctuary Ordinance. And again, this was passed in 2023. The architect of that, the chairman of the county commission, joins us today, along with the sheriff who publicly supported it. The county chair, Chris Hall, great American, very, very popular in his county, I know. Really, really pleased to have him with us. And we also have joining us Sheriff Rambosk. He is the Republican sheriff down in Collier County, and he publicly expressed his support for this as the county commission was considering it. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Alex, for having us.
Absolutely. Chris, let's start with you. Your county commission decided, this was during the Biden administration, we have threats to the rights of our citizens coming down the pike, and there may be more in the future. We've got to do something to protect, more than just a resolution to kind of put on paper the fact that we don't like this, but something with teeth in it to provide some real concrete actions that county government could take to protect citizens' rights. Talk to us about the process. What were citizens telling you? Why did you decide to do this?
Oh man, Alex, that's the million-dollar question. Like you mentioned, when COVID was here, we experienced so much. Basically, you just call it tyranny because that's what it was. They were telling you what you could do, what you couldn't do, how you had to do it, why you had to do it. And there was nothing that was coming down the pike from the federal government that had anything to do with our Bill of Rights. The 10th Amendment says that the federal government is the supreme law when the things that they decide are in pursuance of our Constitution. And the way that I saw things, they just were not in pursuance of that. There was nothing about what they were telling us to do that had any rationale with the freedoms that we as Americans should have. So I ran for office on a no mandate platform. And once I got elected, I went to work to actually just use the left's language against them. And that's why we have the sanctuary city for the Bill of Rights. But when I brought this forward, I couldn't imagine people opposing it, but they opposed it in a big way. Commissioner, you're going to do this. You're going to open up the county for lawsuits. It's going to be the wild, wild west, and people are going to do this and people are going to do that. And I kept saying, y'all, nothing is going to change unless something changes. God forbid our Florida governor makes some laws that trample our rights. We're going to be protected in Collier County. And the reason why we wanted to do an ordinance is, you said it, is we wanted to give our great sheriff the teeth that he needed by statute to protect our liberties, to protect our rights in every way, in every fashion that we could give him. And as a result of that, he publicly came out and was a great supporter of this. And I can't tell you what it meant to have his support, because it was a lonely feeling going into this. I knew I didn't, with sunshine laws, you don't know how the other commissioners are going to take things. And when I brought this up, it was quite the discussion.
Yeah. And, I should mention, you won your election with a massive margin. I mean, you were running on a no mandate platform, but the voters really gave you a mandate. Over 70% of voters said, we want him. Sheriff, you publicly expressed your support for this ordinance. that actually has some teeth in it, that allows the sheriff, law enforcement, and county government to really uphold and protect the rights of citizens, even in the face of attacks from various sources. Why did you do that, and what was that like?
As we talk about things like the Second Amendment and freedom of speech and religion and others, we looked at ways that not only we could live by, but how could we enforce? And I think that's where the commissioner, who put together a great team of residents, met with me, met with a lot of other individuals around the county, and said, look, think about your position, and which I always do. My oath of office, along with that of all elected officials in Florida, and quite frankly, for sheriffs throughout the nation, commits us to support, protect, and defend the Constitution. I mean, that's pretty clear. In our agency, we live by that and work within that oath each and every day. And we've done that for 100 years. So we also live by our organizational mission. And this was actually in place prior to the ordinance being put in place. But our mission is to preserve and protect the lives, property, and constitutional guarantees of all persons. So, when I was invited in to look at what was being done, it was very clear to me through our citizenry, because there was a lot of support, and I know the commissioner had a lot of questions to answer as well, but a lot of support. And, I thought to myself, as law enforcement, we really didn't know how there'd be an expectation for us to oppose this ordinance, number one, because it's the very elements of the oath of office and the duty of a law enforcement officer, including protecting, defending, and supporting the Constitution. So for me, it was a pretty clear decision. It's what I have always done over the last 45 years. It is what I will always do. And as the commissioner said, it kind of just made sense to reinforce what was already there.
Amen. Amen. And we as Americans, we're very grateful for our law enforcement officers who do take seriously their oath to the Constitution. I mean, that's the foundational governing document of our country. And for me, it's hard to fathom how it could be controversial that everybody in government ought to be upholding the oath that they all took to the Constitution. Folks, this ordinance that was passed in Collier County again in 2023, it includes a definition of an unlawful act, and it states this: any federal act, law, order, rule, or regulation which violates or unreasonably restricts, impedes, or impinges upon an individual's constitutional rights, including but not limited to those enumerated in Amendments 1 through 10 to the United States Constitution. And it says any such unlawful act is invalid in Collier County and shall not be recognized by Collier County, shall be considered null, void, and of no effect in Collier County. Now, under a constitution, you wouldn't think you would need to even pass an ordinance saying that, and yet COVID proved that we needed it. In fact, even here in Florida, we had counties that were absolutely out of control, arresting pastors for opening up their churches. Chris, I want to talk to you for a moment about what other counties can do. I mean, a lot of the threats that were really attacking our freedoms back in 2023 have kind of faded into the background for a lot of people. They're in the past. We're not thinking about them anymore. But there's always a possibility that those could come back. And so I tell people, we at the county and even at the state level ought to be thinking about this. What can other counties do? What can states do, in your view, to make sure that if we ever find ourselves in that kind of situation again, the rights of citizens will be protected?
It's a great question, and it's just the way the culture's kind of evolved. Is they think that federal government is just this big bad, whatever they say you have to do. And like I mentioned earlier, the 10th Amendment assures us that they are the supreme law of the land as long as what they're doing is in pursuance of the Constitution. If it's not, they're not the supreme law. State law is then. If state law is not is not in pursuance of the Constitution, then we're going to fall back on our local laws. And that's the reason why I think other counties should follow suit. Nothing changes until something changes. But if something changes, you've got something in place that will protect the liberties and the rights of the people that voted you in office for in perpetuity, unless somebody else comes along and reverses it, which God forbid that would happen.
Yeah. And Sheriff, turning back to you, Sheriff Kevin, we had a lot of chicken littles predicting that the sky was going to imminently fall on all of us if this ordinance were to pass. You are, of course, the chief law enforcement officer of your county. Did the sky fall?
No, quite honestly, it was the other way. We found much more public support, not only for law enforcement, but for the county commission and the actions that they were taking. We have a great community. We have a great Board of County Commission that represents the constituents and the residents of Collier County. And you know, that is, I think, somewhat unique in the way that it's done here. But the question that I got most often was, well, one, the sky was going to fall, and then how would you ever enforce this? Because this is not enforceable. I was going to get sued. The commission was going to get sued, and you know, unfortunately, litigation in our line of work is something that occurs each and every day. We have 7 professional accreditations to keep us going down that path. But the most important thing was the process and procedure for handling this ordinance, because it will turn into a misdemeanor, is the same for any misdemeanor crime that we handle. In almost all cases, misdemeanor allegations are reported to a deputy who responds to take a report, and an investigator is assigned to follow up. The investigator interviews witnesses and collects evidence. And then that investigative packet is sent to the state attorney's office for a determination of criminal charge. It is the exact same process as any misdemeanor crime. And that's why it is no different than what we do each and every day. So there was no question in my mind how we would process a complaint should we get one.
Amen.
Yeah,
Well,
what he said.
Yeah,
I
right.
said,
No,
yeah, what he said.
yeah, you gentlemen are an inspiration, and I hope people all across the country will take this interview to their own county commissions, to their own sheriffs. Before I let you guys go, I have one more question for you, because right now we've got a lot of jurisdictions across the country, mostly led by Democrats, that are calling themselves sanctuaries, where they're saying that we're not going to allow federal immigration law to be enforced. But we know, of course, that immigration, naturalization, border issues, those are assigned properly to the federal government under our constitutional system. Chris, what do you say about that? I mean, well, if you guys can protect the Bill of Rights in your county, why can't we have illegal immigrants sanctuary in our county? What do you say to that?
They're not citizens and they have no constitutional rights in America.
Right. Very good. Yeah, and I hear this too. You know, they have a right to due process of law. Well, they're not being deprived of their life or their liberty or their property, being deported under our constitutional system. Yeah, it's a great discussion, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Sheriff Kevin, any final thoughts from you on how other parts of the country can really work to protect their constitutional system of government, even down at the local level?
Yes, I would look to my peers throughout the nation to take a look at what has been accomplished here in Collier County, work together with their citizens and with their commissions, because again, it was a much better outcome, I believe, when everybody was working together. And don't be afraid of carrying out your duty and responsibility to the Constitution of the United States and the state in which you live.
Amen. Gentlemen, real pleasure. Thank you both for joining us today. Thank you for your leadership on this critical issue. I hope you will inspire many others across the country, and I hope we can get you back. Thank you again.
Alex, thank you. Sheriff, thank you.
Thanks so much, gentlemen.
Commissioner, thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, folks, stay with us. We got one more segment coming up. The Florida Federation of Teenage Republicans is pushing back on apathy among our nation's young people, disillusionment with the political system. We've got to get the young people involved, and our next guests are on the front line of doing that. Stay with us. We'll be right back.